And now let's take a look at the headlines of this hour. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls on US President Donald Trump, both nations to double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030, cooperation in deep technologies including AI on the anvil. Big takeaway from the meet for India as US President Donald Trump approves extradition of 2611 Mumbai attack accused Tahawwur Rana to India. India and US defense partnership set to scale new heights. Trump announces US ready to sell fifth generation stealth fighters F-35s to India. And US Defense Secretary Hicks tells his NATO counterparts in Brussels that talks will happen with both Russia and Ukraine for peace. Also, US Senate confirms vaccine critic Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as health secretary. Republican Senator Mitch McConnell votes against him in a 52-48 split. While Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump held talks in the White House, the leaders held extensive talks on a wide range of subjects, including trade and technology, defense and security, energy and people-to-people ties. Both sides also exchanged views on regional and international developments of mutual interest. Trump tells Prime Minister Modi that he missed Prime Minister Modi a lot as he welcomed him at the White House in the first in-person meeting between the two leaders since 20th of January. He also introduced him to his top officials. While holding a joint press conference at the White House after holding bilateral talks, US President Donald Trump announced extradition of 2611 Mumbai terror attack accused Tahawwur Rana.
States and India will be working together like never before to confront the threat of radical Islamic terrorism, a threat all over the world, actually. Today, I'm pleased to announce that my administration has approved the extradition of one of the plotters and one of the very evil people of the world, and having to do with the horrific 2008 Mumbai terrorist attack, to face justice in India. So he's going to be going back to India to face justice.
Well, meanwhile, President Donald Trump said that US will increase the military sales to India by billions of dollars, including sale of F-35 fighter jets.
Today, the Prime Minister and I are announcing a framework to strengthen those ties even further economically, and the U.S.-India Compact for the 21st century is a historic initiative that will deepen every aspect of our partnership and our friendship. Starting this year, we'll be increasing military sales to India by many billions of dollars. We're also paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters.
Well, India would join an elite club of countries that include NATO allies, Israel and Japan, that would be allowed to buy the F-35, which can operate without detection at supersonic speeds. India and US also agreed to work together to help build one of the greatest trade routes in history. Leaders also agreed on deal in AI, semiconductors and other technologies.
We are announcing today the United States and India are also joining forces to ensure that artificial intelligence and other advanced technologies are developed by the two of the most advanced nations intellectually and otherwise technologically. Anywhere in the world, there's nobody very much closer. We have an incredible relationship there, and this is where it seems to be heading.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid emphasis on the need to finish the ecosystem of human trafficking and expressed confidence that President Donald Trump will fully cooperate with India in finishing this ecosystem.
हम इस मत के हैं कि गैर कानूनी तरीके से जो लोग दूसरे देशों में होते हैं उनको वहां रहने का कोई कानूनी अधिकार तो है नहीं। जहां तक भारत और अमेरिका का सवाल है, हमने हमेशा कहा है कि जो वेरीफाइड होगा, कि जो सच्चे अर्थ में भारत का ही नागरिक होगा, वो अगर अमेरिका में गैर कानूनी तरीके से रहता है तो उसको वापस लेने के लिए भारत तैयार है। लेकिन बात हमारे लिए वहां से रुकती नहीं है। ये सामान्य परिवारों के बच्चे होते हैं, उनको बड़े बड़े सपने दिखाए जाते हैं और उनको ज्यादातर ऐसे होते हैं उनको गुमराह करके लाया जाता है। और इसलिए ये ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग में जुड़े हुए पूरे इकोसिस्टम पर हमने वार करना चाहिए। और अमेरिका और भारत मिल करके हमारी कोशिश है और हमारी कोशिश रहनी चाहिए कि इस प्रकार की पूरी इकोसिस्टम को हमें जड़ मूल से नष्ट करना चाहिए, ताकि ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग बंद हो और गरीब लोगों को जो अपनी धन दौलत बेच करके ऐसे बड़े बड़े सपने दिखा करके उनको अंधेरे में रख करके ले जाया जाए, उनके साथ भी अन्याय है। और इसलिए हमारी बड़ी लड़ाई उस पूरे इकोसिस्टम के खिलाफ है और मुझे विश्वास है कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप भी इस इकोसिस्टम को खत्म करने में भारत का पूरा सहयोग करेंगे।
Well, in his remarks, Prime Minister Modi said that the first term of the presidency of President Trump played a vital role in strengthening the ties between the two countries, and Prime Minister added that he is confident that in the second term, both nations will maintain the same momentum.
राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की जब भी बात आती है तब मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन हर किसी को याद आता है, हर किसी को उससे प्रेरणा मिलती है। वैसे ही भारत में विकसित भारत 2047, जब भारत की आजादी के 100 साल होंगे, तब तक भारत को विकसित बनाने के संकल्प के साथ 140 करोड़ देशवासियों का संकल्प, उसको आज नई गति मिल रही है, नई ऊर्जा मिल रही है। अमेरिका विश्व का सबसे पुराना लोकतंत्र, भारत विशाल लोकतंत्र, और इसलिए हम दोनों का मिलने का मतलब 1+1 2 नहीं, 1 और 1 11 होता है। और ये 11 की शक्ति, वो ताकत विश्व के कल्याण के भी काम आएगी।
Well, Prime Minister Modi said that teams will work on completing a trade agreement that will mutually benefit the two countries and deepen cooperation in the direction of small modular reactors.
द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को 2030 तक 2 गुना से भी अधिक बढ़ाकर $500 बिलियन तक पहुंचाने का लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है। हमारी टीमें एक पारस्परिक लाभकारी ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट को शीघ्र संपन्न करने पर काम करेगी।
Well, both the nations have also decided to further strengthen ties in defense. Prime Minister Modi said that India and US decided to launch the Autonomous System Industry Alliance, and for the next decade, a defense cooperation framework will also be established.
भारत और अमेरिका आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, सेमीकंडक्टर्स, क्वांटम, बायोटेक्नोलॉजी तथा टेक्नोलॉजीज में मिलकर काम करेंगे। आज हमने ट्रस्ट यानी ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग रिलेशनशिप यूटिलाइजिंग स्ट्रेटेजिक टेक्नोलॉजी, उस पर सहमति बनाई है।
Well, India and US also agreed to work on deep technologies that includes artificial intelligence, quantum.
भारत और अमेरिका आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, सेमीकंडक्टर्स, क्वांटम, बायोटेक्नोलॉजी तथा टेक्नोलॉजीज में मिलकर काम करेंगे। आज हमने ट्रस्ट यानी ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग रिलेशनशिप यूटिलाइजिंग स्ट्रेटेजिक टेक्नोलॉजी, उस पर सहमति बनाई है।
And on the Russia-Ukraine war, Prime Minister reiterated that India stands with peace, appreciating Trump's efforts to bring an end to the war.
रशिया और यूक्रेन दोनों से लगातार संपर्क में रहा हूं। मैं स्वयं भी दोनों देश की मुलाकात कर चुका हूं। बहुत से लोगों का एक भ्रम है कि भारत न्यूट्रल है। मैं साफ करना चाहता हूं, भारत न्यूट्रल नहीं है। हमारा अपना एक पक्ष है और हमारा पक्ष है शांति, पीस। और मैंने इसी एक हमारे सिद्धांत को लेकर के राष्ट्रपति पुतिन की हाजिरी में मीडिया के सामने स्पष्ट रूप से कहा था कि युद्ध का समय नहीं है। और आज भी मेरा कन्विक्शन है कि युद्ध के मैदान में समस्याओं के समाधान नहीं निकलते हैं, अल्टीमेटली वार्ता के टेबल पर ही होते हैं। और भारत का लगातार प्रयास रहा है कि दोनों लोग जिसमें मौजूद हो वैसे फोरम में बातचीत होगी, तब कोई रास्ता निकलेगा। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप जो प्रयास कर रहे हैं, मैं उनका स्वागत करता हूं, समर्थन करता हूं और मैं चाहता हूं कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप हो सके उतना जल्दी सफल हो ताकि दुनिया में शांति के रास्ते खुले।
While answering to a question on Bangladesh, President Trump said that US has no deep stake and leaves the matter to Prime Minister Modi.
Well, there was no role for our deep state. It was. This is something that the Prime Minister has been working on for a long time and has been worked on for hundreds of years, frankly. I've been reading about it. But I will leave Bangladesh to the Prime Minister.
Also addressing the media on India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's US visit, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said that Prime Minister's visit to US within 3 weeks and a bit of the inauguration of Donald Trump is a signal of priority that both leaders attached to the India-US relationship.
Prime Minister's first visit after the first visit to the United States after the inauguration of President Trump for a second term. And as I had mentioned earlier as well, the fact that this visit is taking place within just 3 weeks and a bit of the inauguration is a signal of the priority that both leaders attach to the India-US relationship.
And now take a look at this special video in the West Wing of the White House where US President welcomed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Well, Trump tells Prime Minister Modi that he missed Prime Minister Modi a lot as he welcomed him at the White House in the first in.
Here's some of our friends.
Well, President also introduced Prime Minister Modi to his top officials. And US National Security Advisor Michael Waltz called on Prime Minister Modi. Their discussions touched upon ways to further deepen the India-US comprehensive global strategic partnership with a focus on strategic technologies as well as defense, industrial cooperation and civil nuclear energy with an emphasis on small modular reactors and counter-terrorism. They also discussed international and regional issues of mutual interest. Well, the heads of the U.S. Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, and the CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk, called on Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi and Musk discussed a strengthening collaboration between Indian and U.S. entities in innovation, space exploration, artificial intelligence and sustainable development. The discussion also touched upon opportunities to deepen cooperation in emerging technologies, entrepreneurship and good governance. Musk was accompanied by his family to the meeting. An entrepreneur and politician, Vivek Ramaswamy, called on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Washington, D.C. Leaders talked about diverse issues, including innovation and culture, among others. They had insightful discussions on India-US ties and biotechnology and the role of entrepreneurship in shaping the future. Vivek was accompanied by his father-in-law for the meeting. Well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was confirmed by the U.S. Senate as Health Secretary on Thursday and sworn into office during an Oval Office ceremony. Kennedy will now oversee multiple high-profile agencies, including the FDA and Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The U.S. Senate earlier on Thursday voted to confirm Kennedy 52-48, with Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, the lone Republican, joining all 47 Democrats to vote against Kennedy. U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to establish a commission to make America healthy again that would investigate chronic illness and deliver an action plan to fight childhood diseases. As Kennedy was sworn into the post, he pledged to protect existing vaccination programs. And Trump's pick to head the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Indian-American Kash Patel, won the approval of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday. The Senate committee has cleared the way for a vote to confirm Patel, who has called for a radical reshaping of the nation's top law enforcement agency. In a 12-10 party line vote, the panel approved Patel's nomination despite deep reservations by Democrats who said he's unfit to lead the Bureau. And on the Russia-Ukraine peace deal, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine would not accept any bilateral agreements on its fate reached by Moscow and Washington in its absence. Further, President Zelensky called for Europe to have a seat at the negotiating table at the end of the war. The Ukrainian leader made the comments a day after U.S. Donald Trump spoke to Russian leader Vladimir Putin and Zelensky in his first big diplomatic moves to end the war. Well, U.S. President made a bold assertion that he had, and I quote, a lengthy and highly productive phone call with Vladimir Putin on Wednesday in which the leaders reportedly agreed to begin negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. Trump said he and the Russian president agreed to have our respective teams start negotiations immediately. Later, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he had spoken with Trump about a lasting, reliable peace. Sagnik of DD India gets us more.
The Ukraine conflict gained momentum with US President Donald Trump reaching out to the main stakeholders of the conflict, Russia and Ukraine, by calling both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in separate phone calls. The US President has set the ball rolling as he instructed officials to begin talks on ending the conflict. Trump said Putin wants the war to end, and they discussed getting a ceasefire in the not-too-distant future. The Kremlin said Putin and Trump had agreed to meet and that the Russian president was impressed by Trump's position on ending the Ukraine conflict.
There is a political will which was emphasized during a conversation to conduct a dialogue in search of a settlement. There is agreement that a peaceful negotiated settlement is possible.
Trump said their first meeting would probably take place soon in Saudi Arabia. Trump announced that Secretary of State Marco Rubio, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Middle East Envoy Steve Witkoff would lead negotiations on ending the war. Trump and Zelensky spoke after Trump's call with Putin.
And I think we're on the way to getting peace. I think President Putin wants peace, and President Zelensky wants peace, and I want peace. I just want to see people stop getting killed.
Very substantive negotiations with the United States of America. I had a good, in-depth conversation with President Trump, and I appreciate the President's genuine interest in our shared opportunities and how we can bring true peace closer together.
The development followed remarks by U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth that Kyiv would have to give up its long-held goals of joining the NATO military alliance and regaining all of its territory seized by Russia.
We want, like you, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine. But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. chasing this illusionary goal will only prolong the war and cause more suffering. That said, the United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine.
Reacting to the latest American moves, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte stressed that Ukraine must be a part of any peace talks and that a final deal to end Russian and Ukraine conflict must be enduring.
We all want peace in Ukraine, rather sooner than later. We all want Ukraine to be in the best possible position when those talks start, to make sure that they can be concluded successfully. And as also Pete Hegseth said yesterday, the new American Secretary of Defense, it is crucial that whatever comes out of those talks, it is durable, it is enduring. No Minsk III. We cannot have that again. We cannot have Putin again trying to capture a square kilometer, a square mile of Ukraine in the future.
EU's foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, said Europe and Ukraine need to be involved in peace talks for any deal to work, and said it wasn't good tactics to give in to Russia's demands before negotiations have even started.
It is clear that any deal behind our backs will not work. Any agreement will need also Ukraine and Europe being part of it, and this is clear that appeasement also always fails. So Ukraine will continue to resist and Europe will continue to back Ukraine.
Swedish Defense Minister Paul Johnson said that Ukraine could still join NATO in the future, provided it meets all the necessary conditions.
Well, as far as I understand, the U.S. position from this administration is that this is about claiming that NATO membership should not be part of this political agreement. I don't foresee the NATO membership as such being off the table for Ukraine. Our position is well known and communicated, and we stand behind what was said at the Washington summit, of course, that Ukraine's future is in NATO.
Prior to Trump's phone calls, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent held talks with Zelensky, where Bessent said that minerals deal will give Kyiv post-war security shield. Bureau Report, DD India.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Prasar Bharati from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.